Hey everybody, how are you today? Today I'm going to talk about something that in the past would have been very difficult for me to talk about, but a lot of time has passed and I feel that I'm finally at peace with it, and I'm willing to share because sometimes your story can help somebody, sometimes your story can help change somebody's life or have a new perspective or just to let them know that they're not alone. So today I'm sharing my story. My story is basically how I found out I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and how has my life changed since the diagnosis. I don't want to make this a long video, so let's get right in. How I found out I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I've had it now for 4 years. I was diagnosed in 2015, somewhere between January and March, where the final diagnosis came in. Real quick, before January, and every January I go to my physical. My birthday is in January, so every January I go have my yearly physical. But before January, sometime between August to January, I was experiencing some symptoms. I had to use the bathroom 2 and 3 times an hour, which is not normal. At the time, I had a job where I had to drive an hour there, an hour back, and every time I was driving to work, my eyes got blurry. And I started hitting my eyes what's going on with my eyes? What's going on with my eyes? I was thirsty, especially starting in December. I was so thirsty. My mouth would be so dry, and I had to just keep drinking something because my mouth was so thirsty. And I was tired all the time. When I came home from work from that job that I told you at the time was an hour away, I would literally have to go lay down for an hour before I could even interact with my kids because I was so tired. So I was tired, I was thirsty, I was using the bathroom 2 and 3 times an hour, and my eyes were getting blurry. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I went to WebMD and I looked up symptoms of that, and diabetes came up. So of course, I'm thinking diabetes type 2, which is different. Diabetes type 1 is considered an autoimmune disease. Diabetes type 2 is not. So I'm still thinking diabetes type 2 because that's what 95% of people who have diabetes had. So when I went to the doctor for my physical in January, I asked her, can you test me for diabetes? And she said, sure. When I got my numbers back, everything came back normal. All my other numbers, which are always in range. But that glucose number, which is the blood glucose number, was 330. Now, normal blood fasting glucose when you go to the doctor or just when you get up, a person that doesn't have diabetes, is between 70 and 120. Mine was 333. So of course the doctor called me and asked me to come in and said this must be a fluke because all your other numbers are within range, but this blood glucose, so it's probably just a fluke. Came back in, did the test again, still in the 300s. So she just assumed too that it was type 2 diabetes, gave me some metformin, which is a pill that type 2 diabetics take. That made my stomach hurt and my blood, and she waited a couple of days, took my blood again, still in the high 3s. And so she taught me how to give myself insulin injections, still thinking I have type 2. Now this is all between January and March. So they finally did this blood test that is the indicator between type 1 and type 2 because it's one, I don't know if it's C-peptide, but it's this one indicator. It's something in your blood that is the indicator of which one you have. And because this was my primary doctor, she saw, my age, and most people that have type 1 diabetes get it when you're young. That's why they call type 1 juvenile diabetes, because most people that get it when they're a kid. Very rare do adults get type 1 diabetes. Very rare. So I'm rare. So again, that's why she thought it was type 2. So after they ran the test, she was like, no, you have type 1, and immediately sent me to an endocrinologist that I work with in Georgia until I moved to Florida. And then I had type 1. And what type 1 means is your body turns on your pancreas. Basically, my pancreas is just living its best life, and then all of a sudden your body thinks that your pancreas is the enemy, and it turns on the pancreas like it's the enemy and attacks it. And when it attacks it, it can no longer deliver insulin. And insulin is the hormone that keeps your blood regulated. So when your pancreas is not doing its main job, which is to deliver insulin to keep you regulated, you have to start taking insulin, unfortunately, for the rest of your life, unless you get a pancreas transplant. Other than that, you know, you'll be taking insulin. And that's the main difference between type 1 and type 2. It was nothing that I was doing personally, even though there are some things linked to type 1, but that's another video. But other than that, it was nothing that I was doing personally because I ate good, I was healthy, I exercised. But for some reason, my body just turned on itself as the pancreas, and then I get diagnosed with type 1. Type 2, that's a whole nother disease. People can, you know, bring it on themselves with the way what they eat, lack of exercise, and you can cure yourself from type 2. If you eat right and if you exercise, you can cure yourself from type 2. Type 1, if you eat right and exercise, you can't because the pancreas is dead. And that's just not the case with type 2. So maybe that's why type 1 is considered an autoimmune disease, because the immune system attacks itself, which is not the same case in type 2. So my next thing I was going to tell you was, what is type 1? And I just explained that to you. Okay, so how has it been for me for the past 4 years? It has been an experience of highs and lows. And let me tell you, when I first got diagnosed, it was a lot of lows. It was a lot of depression. I lost a lot of weight because I was trying to heal myself. And healing myself at the time was not eating carbs, thinking like, you know, if I don't eat carbs, then I don't have to take insulin, because everything I eat I have to pay attention to, because I have to give myself insulin for the things that I eat. And so I had to learn about what I could eat, what I could not eat. And so I started trying to heal myself, and I started losing a lot of weight. Like right now, I am 150. This is 150. I got all the way down to 128. So imagine me 150, and I'm fine with my size right now. I'm totally good. But imagine me 128. So that's 22 pounds. 22 pounds. So it was to the point where I was walking, and people that knew me were like, "Hey, you losing weight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but not on purpose," you know, because I wasn't trying to lose weight. I was just trying to heal myself. And you know, they were like, "You, whatever you're doing, don't do it. Whatever you're doing, don't do it, or stop it." So that was one low. Another low was hiding it from my kids. The first year, I hid it from my kids. And you know, if you have diabetes, you guys check your blood not every couple hours, but type 1s usually check it before they eat, so they'll know what they are, so they'll know how much insulin to give them before they eat and not to give themselves too much. So of course the first year I'm hiding, checking my blood under the table, going in another room. Even my injections I was hiding. So you know, the doctors could tell I was stressed out, and she was like, stop hiding it from your kids. And I finally told them, and they accepted me, and it became easier. Now, you know, they're used to mommy check. They were used to me checking it shortly after I started doing it and giving myself injections. They were very supportive then, and even they're supportive now. Another low, well, I would say a year later, I also got the pump. It's like an insulin pump that gives me insulin. And then it was a low of like still feeling sexy for my husband. That was a low, just because, you know, then he had to send me with a pump attached to me, and I got a wireless pump, but it's still this little device attached. And you know, sometimes I wear where people can't see, but if I take off my clothes, he can see. So I went through this period where I didn't feel, you know, sexy for him. And he quickly, you know, told me, don't ever think that. That has not changed anything. Don't you worry about that. And has never made me feel less than since the day I put the pump on. Just loads of having to deal with this disease. I went through the why me guy. Why me? Why do I got to get this? Even like when I first got the pump, wearing it where couldn't anybody see it because I didn't want questions. When I started a new job, this is about a year ago when I started, I didn't wear it for like I hid it for like maybe the first 3 months because I didn't feel like answering questions. But I got past all that when I realized, you know, if insulin is what it takes to make me live and you got to see the pump, ask the question, because it is what it is. And so I had peace about it. Now I don't have the pump currently because of my insurance made it too high. And that's a whole nother video too about how insurance treats people with diabetes type 1 or type 2. But I do have a glucose sensor on that I can now just put my phone up and it tells me my blood. So I'm back to doing injections until we figure this insurance thing out. Also, another low is my A1C. Your A1C is a accumulation, an average of your blood for 3 months. And if you're a diabetic, especially type 1, you have to go get your blood drawn every 3 months. And then they take this average, and then that's your A1C, your average blood number. If you don't have diabetes, it's between 4 and 6, or 4 and a high 5. And if you are like a 6, they'll tell you you're pre-diabetic. But for, you know, for somebody that have diabetes, it would be good if you can get your number between a 6 and a 8. But I have been very high. I'm not gonna tell you my numbers, but when I started, I just put it like this: I haven't been a 6 or 8 my whole time I've been type 1. So that's been my struggle. That's what I'm struggling with now. I've gotten low. I think the lowest I've been is a 9. But then you get comfortable and and then you go back up. But I'm figuring out what my problem is, and I'm working to correct that. So that's just what I'm struggling with now, is getting my A1C down. But this has really been a great help because it tells me like my averages. But anyway, that's a whole nother video. So how has it been? It's been a year of high and lows, but like I said, right now I'm at peace about it. It is what it is. I still speak life over myself. I still speak God will heal me. I still speak I can be healed. I will be healed. I'm praying for, that they come up with the cure. And trying, eating right, researching food all the time, researching the best methods. And I found this one organization called masteringdiabetes.org. And my best friend actually the one that told me about it. And I think that was a lifesaver because their plan was created by 2 people that have type 1, and one is a doctor. And their plan has healed type 2. But type 1, they have allowed us to dramatically reduce our insulin intake by as much as 60%, which is a blessing. And that's because of the way you eat. And it's called masteringdiabetes.org. And why I say it's changed my life just because of the things that they have taught us, which is not everything that the doctor is saying. And I tried to tell my doctor about it, but of course he was like, what? He said he would research it, but he never did. The only thing is you got to follow it. And I think I just didn't follow it to the T because it is strict, but you can do it. And basically it's just eating the correct fruits and vegetables and some things that you eliminate that secretly raise your blood that you don't know if you're type 1 or type 2 diabetic. All right, so where I'm at now, I have peace. If I have to wear my pot and you see it, then you see it. You ask, then you ask. You see my CGM, then you see it, okay? Because I want to live for my kids and for my family, so I'm not going to be ashamed of having to wear a device, having to give myself insulin in front of you, having to check my finger. All right, where am I now? I think I just answered this question. 4 years later, still trying to get my A1C down. How can you support me? Like you just being a viewer, I mean, this is more for my friends. One thing that did hurt me a little bit when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I didn't tell a lot of people. I told people that I considered like the real word friend because of course, just like if you're diagnosed with anything, you don't want to share. You're going through mental or what can I do? And so you share with a few people. And out of the few people that I shared it with, yeah, so they were supportive with their initial comments of, oh my God, but like nobody else asked about me ever again. Except for, of course, don't count your mom and your husband, because they live with you, they love you, they care about you. But the only person that really acts like on a continuous basis is my best friend, my husband's best friend, Reggie. I see him like he lives in Georgia. Every time I'm saying, how you doing? How your blood doing? What you doing? And I really appreciate that. My best friend, she lives an hour away, but we talk. She lives an hour away, but we talk every day. And she's the one, how are your blood doing? Like, let me she don't want to tell me about the Master in Diabetes program or what's going on. And one day she asked me something that really like made my heart like, oh my God, I love this girl. She asked me, well, tell me about like, if we're ever out and something happens to you, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to act? What I'm supposed to do for you? I'm like, oh, so caring. But everybody else, nobody else ever asked, like, how are you doing? And one comment that I got was, well, the reason I never asked how you were doing is because you look healthy or you look like you're doing good. You don't go by looks. Just like they say, always check on your strong friend. Check on your friend that tells you they have something just because they look good. Why would I not look good? Why would I not take care of myself? That doesn't stop. I'm not going to stop exercising, eating good, dressing cute because I'm diagnosed with something. So yeah, I'm going to still look good, but that doesn't mean inside I'm not having a bad day. That doesn't mean inside I'm not feeling some type of way about this disease because it's life-changing. Like, how can you support me? If you are a friend and I told you, you could just support me by saying, how are you? Checking on me and say, how are you genuinely? Don't just don't just say, how are you just because I said, say that, I'm going to just say it. But people that have genuinely like asked about me, genuinely want to hear what's going on, genuinely show some concern, that really means a lot to me. And I'm grateful for those who have did that. And in the future, maybe you didn't know that I needed it or wanted it. But that's how you can support me. And just check me. How your A1C doing? I don't mind what you doing on your A1C. Because that's the biggest thing, for diabetics is how are you doing with that A1C? That's really it. for those of you that have diabetes type 1, and that's another thing, I do not meet a lot of people with type 1. So many people have type 2 diabetes. So many people. Type 1, especially get it at the age that I got it at the time, which was 38. So I'm 42 right now. But it was rare to get it at 38. It was considered LADA, L-A-D-A, late onset diabetes. So that's what I'm considered very rare. And again, like I say, I don't really meet a lot of people with type 1. And so it was lonely when I first was diagnosed. Sometimes it's still lonely now because I still only have met a few. You know, I don't know if there's a diabetes support group around here. When I first went on Facebook and joined diabetes type 1's Facebook groups, everything was so depressing. Those people in those groups, so depressing. It's like, woe is me, woe is me. And as a new type 1, I don't need to hear that. I need to hear, yes, I'm doing good. This is what I'm doing. Yes, stay motivated. Yes, yes, yes. I don't need to hear like my life sucks. No. So I got out of those groups. But yeah, so if you're type 1, you know, reach out in the comments. Let me know what you're doing. And if you're in Tampa, I would love to know an amazing endocrinologist. I have one, but I want to know an amazing one that's on cutting edge technology, keeping up to date with the findings, etc., etc. All right. So I just wanted to thank you for your time. So if you know any other people who are type 1 and how you can support them, just ask them genuinely, how are they doing? Anything that you can do to support them? Anything, how's the A1C? This weekend, I'm actually doing my first diabetes walk, which is another reason why I'm making this video, because I'm ready to go do my walk, so I'm ready to share my story. So that's Friday. Happy Friday, and I'm gonna make more videos about the type 1 experience and different things, so just stay tuned because I'll be back.